Hey, to who's ever watching this, I'm not quite sure who will be watching this, but before I had to be on the run, I knew the team was asked to open up a bit as a part of a team building exercise. There's a whole lot of stuff being said about me. A lot of it's misinformation, so I'd figured I'd get on here and tell the true side of my story. First off, my name really is Greg Jones. Maurice Brown was an alias name I had to come up with to get down with the crew back in the day. Before we get into that juicy story there, let's back it up a bit. You see, my parents were good people, or so I thought. My mom was an international spy. She worked for what we now call the IAA, but back then it was called CAI, Central Agency of Intelligence. My dad wasn't as cool as my mom. He worked a regular 9 to 5 in a corporate office. With both parents always working, my siblings and I often took care of each other. Things were pretty good until they weren't. I was about 14, maybe 15 when I came home from school this one day. Walked into the house like normal, except nothing was normal the minute my feet crossed that threshold that separated my home from the outside world. A gun was placed to the side of my head when I stepped in. As I peeked my eyes around the corner, there they were, my father and my siblings, all tied up and bloody. I knew within 5 seconds of looking in their direction that they were dead. The guy holding the gun to my head didn't shoot me. Instead, he knocked me out and tied me up. When I finally opened my eyes, I was tied up and my mouth was covered so I couldn't scream. I saw my mother begging and pleading for her life with the guy who had a gun pointed at me earlier. He kept asking her over and over again about what did she know, and she kept telling him she learned nothing about his crimes or his organization. He gave her one last chance before he vowed to shoot her in front of me. My mother hesitated before she answered. She turned to me and whispered, "I love you." She then turned back to him and said again she knew nothing. He looked at me and smiled right before he shot my mother in the head. He didn't kill me, obviously. Instead, he told me something that's been ringing in my head ever since. He said, "Whatever doesn't kill you, kid, makes you stronger. The day you find that strength and come looking for me, I'll be waiting." From that day on, I vowed to track down that man until there was no more breath in my body. That man was Monte Delgado, the head of the notorious cartel, the Vago Vistas. Monte is the reason I became an FIB agent. Fast forward a couple years. Before I joined the FIB squad, I was an undercover detective for the Liberty City Police Department. I figured the best way to track down Monte was through the resources of law enforcement. I was always the smartest rookie in the academy, so it was never no surprise to me when I moved up from rookie to undercover in just 9 months. I had a partner. His name was Tyree Coleman. He and I were working on a case that I specifically picked to infiltrate the Vagos. My goal was to all go after Monte. In order to work the case, we had to change our names because the Vagos weren't stupid. No, after my mom, they upped their security and started running a tighter ship. They ran full background checks, and if we had our real names, it would have shown we were cops. Hence, this is where the name Maurice Brown was famously born. To make a long story short, we would not find out for about 8 months. I managed to never sway over to the dark side, but sometimes being undercover for so long, you forget who you are. Tyreek started to sway, and I couldn't tell him from the Vagos at this point. I had gotten as close enough to where I got to his right-hand man, Armani James. I only met up with Monty once, the day we were found out. It was a setup, and Tyreek and I had taken the bait. Armani liked Tyreek, and he saw the way he started to sway to their side as well, and decided he was worth keeping. Me, though, he wanted me dead, and he wanted Tyreek to do it. I could see it in his eyes. That Tyreek was too far gone. It was more than okay with killing me. What he didn't know was I had planned for his betrayal. Right before he fired the trigger, I yelled out my signal for my hidden sniper who shot Tyreek right in the head. Before anyone moved, an airstrike attack arrived, as well bombing the place. I ran before it had even happened and managed to escape. My only problem was that Armani lived, and he made sure to destroy my rep with the Liberty City PD. He had someone from his team upload photos of me dealing out drugs and other things the PD wasn't aware of while I was undercover, making it look like I was a dirty cop. I couldn't go back there, so I had my record sealed, forced a bit of my background, and moved to Los Santos because my one and only mission was not done yet. He also had tapes that would clear my name because he always recorded every move the Vagos made. That's why I joined the FIB agency. I need those tapes and I need Monty dead. I don't care how many parts, how many roles I have to play to get them. I never planned for things to go this way, and I will clear my name now that the FIB team has learned the identity of Maurice Brown. Riley has agreed to help me. So to whoever is watching this, please know this about it. I will not rest until Monty Delgado is dead. I don't know if this helps or not. I don't really care. It's not the first time I've been misunderstood. This is Greg Jones signing out.